All right, greetings, class, and welcome to week number 4. That is right, week number 4 of your 7314 class, which is your reference class. As always, I'm your professor, Dr. Jace K. Austin. And for our check-in video this week, what we are going to do is first a state of the course update, and then after we do the state of the course update, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Gale Legal Forms database. So that is a database that you find mostly in public libraries, but it is a database that can be very, very helpful to those who use it. And so I am going to show it to you today. Now, this week. Now, what I'm going to do is here's how these database things work when I do a video that kind of announces a database to you, right? Or a collection of databases. This is not a tutorial. This is an introduction. So you can find tutorials on pretty much any database that I show you all within this class, and pretty much any database that libraries use, you can find a tutorial teaching you how to use it effectively. The reason why I don't do actual tutorials is because of timing. In order to do a tutorial and really do something that would make you understand the database, we're looking at longer videos for that, and people already complain about how long my videos are. By the way, I hope you sped this up. If you have not, go ahead and hit that speed up now so that this video doesn't take you too long. But yes, so what I do is kind of introduce the students to the database, show them that the database exists, show them some of the basic things that it does, and tell them some of the situations in which you would use the database. And then if you want to actually learn and master the database, then Google some tutorials. So today when we talk about Gale Legal Forms, if you Google Gale Legal Forms tutorials, or there may even be tutorials within the database that you can view, but if you actually want a tutorial, that's what you need to do, is look for the tutorial within the database. And this isn't just for the database I talk about today. This will be for any database that I talk about. You either need to view the tutorial within the database, or you can Google around. A lot of times you'll find tutorials on how to use these databases on YouTube. So YouTube is a great place to go. So like, for instance, you could Google Gale Legal Forms tutorial, or you could go to YouTube and look for Gale Legal Forms tutorial, and there'll probably be something out there that will be useful for you. So yes, if you want to really learn how to be competent with the databases, then by all means find a tutorial. But today you're getting an introduction. That's what you are getting today. But yes, first let's do that state of the course update. Pause. Okay, so first, when it comes to state of the course update and what is coming up, we will not have a video next week because we're going to have a sync session next Tuesday. That will be September the 19th, and we will be speaking to somebody from Wolfner Library. We have a speaker who is fairly new. Let me look up her name real quick. I'm sorry. Yes, our speaker is named Lisa Kincaid. I'm sorry about that. We've had about 4 different speakers from Wolfner come over the course of my time here, so that's why it was. That's why I drew a little bit of a blank, because Lisa is one of the newer speakers, but Lisa is awesome, and she is going to talk about services to the disabled or differently abled in the class. I believe that disabled is the term that people use most commonly these days, so that's the term that I'm probably going to go with. But yes, Lisa is a fantastic speaker, and I think you all will enjoy learning about some of the services that libraries offer to disabled people, and some of the services that libraries can offer to disabled people. So when we talk about removing access barriers, we are not just talking about making things accessible for everybody, but we are also talking about taking care to make sure we can make things accessible for those who have some ability barriers that are not barriers that the majority of the population has, if that makes sense. So yes, I think it's very good. This presentation is very good, especially for DEI issues. And I hope that you learn something interesting, and maybe even learn something that you hope to take back to your library, okay? But yes, so Lisa is going to be speaking to us next week, so we will not have a synced, we will have a synced session next week, and we will not have a check-in video next week. 2 other things that I want to mention. First of all, yes, our student who was assigned Eric ended up having to drop the class, so I went on ahead and found a previous post from a previous class and just dropped that into the announcements. Eric is the most important educational database, so you do, and if you're an academic librarian, most colleges have very big education programs. Okay, I'll say that to say that yes, you do need to know about ERIC. So when she dropped the class, I was like, okay, I need to get that information to them some other way, and that is the way I'm getting the information to you. But now that the unassignments are completed, what I would like you all to do is to go ahead and read the work of your classmates. This is a form of peer learning. And, just see what your classmates did, and you can learn about some of the various databases offered at Mizzou, and they're offered at a lot of other places too. You can learn about these databases through the work that your classmates did. And we will learn about some of these databases in the check-in videos as well, but not all of them. All right, and then another thing that I want to say really quickly related to the announcement that I put in the course this week, or this morning, actually, is that yes, I have no problem with, let me just say this, I have no problem with the discussions as they panned out, but I was paying attention to the fact that we had a lot of typically outlier discussions, as far as which theories were being invoked. Usually the theories that are invoked are the ones by Durbin, Kuthal, Bates, and Belkin, and I did see, actually, I saw a decent amount of Kuthal, and I saw some Bates and some Belkin, but not on the level that you typically see. And then I don't recall seeing any Durbin at all. But I saw a lot of T.D. Wilson, and I saw a lot of Marcianini. And so what I want to say is that I do want to just make sure that you all understand the theories that were put forth by Durbin, Kuthal, Bates, and Belkin. If the reason why those weren't invoked as heavily as they usually are is because you all didn't understand them, then please let me know, and I'll see if I can find some tutorials that help break those down a little bit better, okay? I do definitely just want to make sure you all understand those particular theories, because those are theories that are invoked the most often, I would say, by LIS researchers. But you do see Wilson invoked a lot too. Not so much here, but Wilson definitely, okay? So I want that to be clear. And then what are some other things that I need to talk about really quickly? Your virtual reference practice paper is going to be due in a little less than 2 weeks. So yes, if you have not reached out to your partner on that, go ahead and get that done. Go ahead and get that started. Reach out to your partner and begin work. If you are not able to reach out to your partner, or if you don't hear back from your partner, please let me know. Because there are some remedies that I will need to invoke if you are having difficulty reaching out to your partner or communicating with your partner. Okay, so those are the main things with the state of the course update. Let me think if there's anything else. I'm going to pause it for a second. Okay, yeah, so I do think that is pretty much everything on the state of the course updates. I will also say, though, that yes, your virtual reference practice paper does need to use APA properly. That is one of the assignments where I will be deducting for improper APA use. The other is going to be the Wikipedia edit assignment, okay? But aside from that, yeah, it looks like pretty much everyone is on task. It looks like everybody turned in the unassignment on time, except for 2 people who did let me know before the deadline that they were going to be late, and so I have communicated with those people. But yes, I'm very pleased with your performances in this class so far. So keep up the good work. All right, and let me pause and get ready to show you a little bit about Gale Legal Form. All right, so yes, let's look at this Gale Legal Forms database. This is not, by the way, a database that is offered through the University of Missouri. So what I'm going to say is this, and let me actually go to the database so that it makes sense what I'm saying, because that would be nice, wouldn't it? Okay, so this is Mid-Continent Public Library, which is a public library in the metro Kansas City area where I reside. I love Mid-Continent. I actually love all of the major public library systems. I'm a member of 3 public library systems here in Metro Kansas City, KCPL, Mid-Continent, and Johnson County Public Library over in Kansas. And I just love the public libraries here. I don't know what else to say. But yes, anyway, enough of me gushing. So what we are going to do is find the legal database, the legal forms database first. From here, we're going to go into, at Mid-Continent, it is classified under legal. And then we're going to go here to Missouri Legal Forms. Now, let me say this. I believe that Gale has done a legal forms database for all 50 states, and there is a way actually to go into the Missouri legal forms database and actually pull up legal forms from other states to go, in other words, to leave the Missouri portal and go to more of a national portal or pick a state. So that can be done, but that's going to be a little bit out of the purview of what we're going to do today, or what I'm going to do today on this video. What I recommend you all do is contact your local public library, and your local public library will more than likely be able to tell you whether or not they have a legal forms database for your state. And again, I believe there are legal form databases for all 50 states. So yes, contact your local public library to see if there is one for your state. And if there is one for your state, then you can also ask your local public library how exactly you get to it, because there are going to be different ways to get to it depending on what library you're using. But I know how to get to it through Mid-Continent Public Library, and so that's what I am about to do. And let's go ahead and dive in. All right, so let's make me a little small here. So this is the Missouri Legal Forms database, and I am going to go right on in. Okay, sure. Let me in. All right, I'm going to pause this because it's taking a while. Okay, and now we are in. So when you get into the Gale Legal Forms database, it should look something like this. It might look slightly different depending on what state you are going to be in. But we are in the Missouri Legal Forms database. So let me... Okay, so I thought actually clicking that would take me outside of Missouri to the main option, but because I know it'll default into Missouri, but apparently that is not working. So let me leave that alone. All state subscriptions. Okay, they've changed that and put that up there. Okay, gotcha. All right, so here's what I think has happened. I don't know this for sure, but what I think has happened is that Mid-Continent, it used to be that if you would click this all state subscriptions up here, you would get all the states, and now I'm seeing that it's only giving me Missouri, so maybe they no longer subscribe to all the states and are only subscribing to Missouri, but that's okay. So let's take a look at some things right now. So first of all, when you come into the database, and one of the neat things about this database is that it actually has relevance to you all now. Like, this database is something that I've actually shown to friends. So when I had friends that like needed to have an agreement for a wedding photographer, or draft something for their landlord or something like that, and when I was on Facebook, I would have friends that would ask for things like that from time to time, just put up statuses like that, and then I'd be like, hey, I know something that you can use, and then I would get the forms off this Gale Legal Forms database for them, and they'd be like, oh, this is so cool, I didn't know something, nah, 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 nah. You know what I'm saying? And so this is something that I think a lot of you might even use in your lives now, or might be able to refer your friends to. So it's definitely something worth knowing. And so let's go ahead and just kind of look around first at some of the things that you have in there. First of all, you have your most popular your most popular categories here. So a lot of the people who come into public libraries needing to use something like this are people who are going through divorces. I've helped people get forms they needed for divorces when I was working at the public library. Power of attorney, landlord, tenant, real estate. Those are the other ones that I would see most often. But other people may have like corporate or paternity or name change things that they're using at their libraries more often. But at my public library, I was mostly using divorce, real estate, landlord, tenant, those sorts of things. Those were what I was coming across with having to use the most. And then you've also got some main categories over here. So these are your these are the most popular categories, but now this is a listing of all the various categories that you can find something in. And then also, if you were to switch over here, you could find like some sample searches and that sort of thing. But I'm not going to get into that for the sake of keeping this video fairly brief, because like I said, people complain about the length of the videos. But what you can do is you can go into any particular category, and you can also browse categories by alphabet up here. But let's say, again, a lot of times when I was in the public library, it would have to deal with like things like divorce or family law or something like that. So let's actually go into one of those. Let's say, actually, let's do landlord tenant, because that is a very popular one. So when you go in there, you get landlord tenant, and then you get a bunch of subcategories over here. So let's take a look at our subcategories. And I think maybe what we should have are apartments here, because this is one thing that's pretty popular is apartments. So you have, let's go into that and see what we get. Okay, so landlord tenant. First of all, this is very important to note. Some things are specifically state-based, and then some things are kind of the same no matter where you go in the United States. And so if it's something that's state-specific, then you'll see the state thing here. So like this is state-specific, specifically for Missouri, whereas these things that say U.S., they are not for a specific state, okay? And so what you can do is you can scroll to what you want. Like let's say that I did want a, well, those aren't too particularly. Let's see if I can. All right, yes. So I'm not seeing a Missouri specific one that I'm really liking, but let's go ahead and go to our United States ones and just find something that could be of use to us. So yeah, okay, parking rules for lease of an apartment. We can go into this, and again, this one is not specific to any particular state. This is U.S. in general, state, United States. You see that there. But what you can do is you can go ahead and preview the document over here. So if you click the preview, it'll show you what's in the document, but it won't have that. And when you download it, it won't have that huge preview language up there. But what you can do is basically just fill in the blanks. You can put the date up here, put the names in there. That information can be altered if need be, because this downloads as a legal, as a Word document. And then you can, fill in the other blanks, sign, and once you sign it, it is, if you have two parties sign something, then this does become a binding contract and something that will hold up in court. So that's when we say legal forms, we really mean legal forms. Once you have the parties sign it, it is something that they cannot break the agreement. And then also, yes, so if you decide that this is what you want, then there are options for downloading. You can download in rich text format, in Microsoft Word format, or as a PDF. And they come in both Spanish and English, but what I would do is, you have the option for Spanish there, and then you have several English options, and then this is sort of a bilingual option over there. Okay, I'm going to pause. My dog makes that strange noise that you're hearing, so I'm going to pause while he's doing it. So if you heard that, I don't know if y'all heard that squealing or not, but if you did, that was my dog, and he's perfectly fine. He's 13 years old and has done that ever since he was 7 years old when my wife got him. So he's just always done that, and the vet said that there's no problem. But yeah, so let's say that this was the legal form that you wanted. You could go ahead and click it. I'm going to go ahead and click English there, get it downloaded, and then I'm going to, it's trying to open by itself. Come on, baby. If you're going to open. There you go. And so, yeah, you can enable editing, and then, yeah, you can put in the dates and the names and all of these things here. So, yeah, you can just fill out the information as needed, and you are going to be good to go. You can print it out and sign once you've done all that. And once you sign, again, this is a legally binding agreement. Okay. So we're going to go back out now. And so, yeah, they basically, pretty much everything is going to work similar to this. Like if you wanted some divorce forms, you could come over here, and Missouri actually has a package for Missouri newly divorced individuals. So yes, you've got quite a bit of resources there. I'm not going to get the whole packet because that sounds like it's a lot going on there. But any of these forms, so you see we've got Missouri specific forms here, and I'm going to download one of those just so you can see what those are like. So if I download one of these, again, I'm going to open from here. And now, as you can see, and again, I'm going to do the enable editing here. As you can see, what I'm dealing with now is actually Missouri specific. And it looks a little more like something that isn't broad. It looks like something that is state specific, and it's going to have a lot more verbiage that is state specific in there as well. You see all that state specific verbiage there. And yes, pay attention. Sometimes you are going to need a notary in order for these forms to be valid. So that is something else that you want to be aware of. And then also I'm going to say that a lot of libraries, not all, maybe not even most, but a lot of libraries do have a notary. So that is something else to keep in mind if somebody gets one of these one of these legal forms from this database and they need a notary to make the agreement official, then sometimes you might have that notary on staff. And if you don't, it's not necessarily a bad idea to have that notary on staff. Okay, so with that said, what we are going to do now is come out of this and come out of this. And I'm just going to show you very quickly that the search function also works. Oh, by the way, I should have said this. So you have a better description this time around. I think the description that we had with that other form, that landlord-tenant form, wasn't really that good. But this one has a fuller, a lot of times you'll see that with the state-specific forms. They have a fuller description and even a law summary that goes with them. And so these can be very helpful as well for patrons that need that assistance there. But another thing that I would do, though, is to once again caution you all against offering legal advice if you are on the reference desk. Just be careful. You might end up getting in trouble if you offer legal advice and it's bad legal advice. But if you are an attorney, and some of you do have JDs, basically you can gauge what level of comfort you have with giving legal advice. And I'll give a very quick example. I may have given this example before, but I'll give it again. So I don't even know if this counts as legal advice, but there was one time where even when I was at an institution where I was forbidden from giving legal advice, I was like, okay, I will help the patron by answering this because it's something that I don't feel I need to be an attorney to answer. So I did have, when I was working at the community college, actually, I had a very young student, somebody who was about 19, who had they were applying for a job and needed help with the application. So I was helping with the application. And that person said that they, when they got to the part that said, have you been convicted of anything other than a minor traffic violation, this patron said that they had been charged with a misdemeanor, but then the case was thrown out. The charges were dismissed. So they were wondering if they still had to say, yes, I've been convicted of something other than a minor traffic offense. And I did tell this patron, even not being a lawyer and not having a JD, and I've only taken one law class my whole life, but I still felt comfortable enough telling this patron, being charged and being convicted are two different things. If the charges were dismissed, then that means that you were not convicted of that misdemeanor. So no, you don't have to list that. And I felt comfortable telling the patron that, but I would only offer that type of advice for something that's really, really, really basic. Okay. And if you do feel uncomfortable answering the question that seems like a bit of a legal question, then err on the side of not answering it. Finally, I am just going to show you all that in addition to browsing and looking at the categories, you can do sort of a free form or maybe a free form or keyword search. And so let's say, again, I mentioned wedding photography earlier. So let's say I wanted a wedding photography agreement. I could put in wedding photography and agreement for wedding photography services, which would be a U.S. form because this agreement is going to be pretty much the same no matter what state you're operating in. But yes, it's under contracts and under marriage, so it's the same form in two different places. You can click it. And again, you don't have a great description. A lot of times the state-specific forms have better descriptions. But yeah, you can go ahead, click on it, download it, it'll open. And yeah, as you can see, this is pretty neat. All you have to do is you can actually just fill in the blanks with the pertinent information as you all determine it. And once you have this signed by both parties, then it is legally binding. And so, yes, you have a lot of legalese in here, but all you do again is fill in these blanks, including, because this is a United States form, including the name of your state. And you fill those things in, sign, and it becomes something that can be enforceable in court. Okay, so yes, this might be something that you all want to play around with. It might be something that helps you in the future. If you hire DJs, I've used this to hire a DJ for an event. I've looked at this for different landlord-tenant things. I've never actually used it for a landlord-tenant situation, but I've at least looked at it for landlord-tenant situations in the past and that sort of thing. Very, very, very helpful database, and one that doesn't get enough attention when people talk about teaching people these types of databases. But I wanted you all to be aware of it, and so now you are. And if you want extra help with it, then I recommend finding a tutorial and going from there. But that is it for me. I hope you sped this up. We are going to keep it under 26 minutes. I am Dr. Jace, and it looks like you all are doing this class at an appropriate pace. I'm very happy to see it. Keep it up, and we'll see you next week in that sync session.